Hello, everyone. This is Professor D, and welcome to your virtual talk on aviation customer service. Greetings to Johan, Charles, Kelly, Edward, and of course Elizabeth. I'm sorry I couldn't be there this time around, but I'm there in spirit, and you know my heart is definitely there for sure. So over the last few months, I have flown on Aeroflot, TAP Portugal, Norwegian Airlines, Royal Air Maroc, American Airlines, Qatar Airways, and Turkish Airways. So I've been spending a lot of time with airlines. In fact, this morning, my morning, when I left, I was in Turkey. Midday, I was in Moscow, and now I'm back in New York City. So I've been doing quite a bit of traveling, and I'm going to need a lot of sleep after this, but I wanted to make sure that I sent you a greeting, and so let me get right into it. So what makes an airline great? SAS airline did our research way back when, and they talked about this concept of moments of truth. And the idea is that little things make a big difference, and we have to remember that. These moments of truth are the little things that amount to big things. So a dirty bathroom or somebody who's not so nice at the host stand. These are the kinds of things that are moments of truth. They can also be good things. You know, that smile that you get from the front desk person at a hotel, or the little chocolate that's left on a pillow in a hotel room, or the extra mile that somebody goes at a travel agency to make sure that you're happy. Those are all good moments of truth as well. So let's talk about the journey of air travel. And I mean like the process that somebody goes through, a customer goes through. For airlines, it starts with the ticket purchase. You know, what does that look like? Is it positive? Is it complicated? I was in a position a couple years ago when I needed to buy a ticket from Accra back to New York City, and I could not do it through Turkish Airlines, through their website. It was impossible. None of my credit cards would work, and it turned out to be a problem on their end. So I had to use a different provider, an OTA, an online travel agency. And so that ticket purchase experience, whether you go into an office or if you buy it online, that has to be smooth, because that's the beginning of that experience. In OTA, we're talking about things like Kayak and Orbitz and Travelocity. If you're not familiar with them, you should definitely check them out, because they are big players in this travel space, especially for airlines. Then there's the airport arrivals. You know, it comes time to go on your trip. What is it like when you get to the airport? Are you greeted properly? Are you welcomed? Or is it a bad experience where you're thrown through a situation and not really helped very much? What is it like to get into the terminal? What is it like to check in? How is security? Are you made to feel comfortable and welcomed or not? That makes a big difference. And what is it like at the gate? Are you treated poorly, or are you treated well? You know, those are the things that I think about in terms of that experience. And there's so many good and bad things that can happen along the way, and that will either hurt or help your overall trip experience. A colleague who I know from Ghana talked about a trip that they took, I think to New York or something like that. They had a great trip, and on the way back, they just had a really bad experience with the airline. And it made my friend's daughter say, I don't want to go on any more trips. Even though they had a great time for 95% of the trip, that last part, the airline, the return flight was not good. The service from the staff was not good. And as a result, it hurt the entire experience. So we have to remember that it's longer and more extended than people realize. You know, and the one thing that I want to share with all of you is that most of this is dependent on humans. Those of you that are at the conference, specifically, the people that work at these airports, the people that work at the airlines, and everybody matters. So there's this concept of line of sight, which I will share, which is the idea that everybody, absolutely everybody within that experience matters. And part of that is also the policies and procedures of the airports and their airlines. Some of the airlines make some very strict rules about when to board and ticket exchanges and what happens if you miss your flight and how did you buy your ticket. This is actually research that I'm doing right now. The difference between buying directly from the airline or through an OTA like Kayak or Orbitz, etc. If you buy it through Orbitz, you actually get worse customer service than buying directly through the airline, even if the airline's making just as much money. And to me, that doesn't make sense. Shouldn't you give everybody good customer service? It shouldn't just be about the money. It should be about doing the right thing. So some of these policies and procedures, unfortunately, they're not always the most helpful for guests, and they make people frustrated. And that's not good. And as people that work within airports and airlines, you have the difficult responsibility to best serve the guests, even though the policies and procedures don't always make sense. They just don't. And so you have to navigate that as best you can. Every time we give someone a bad experience, they tell the people that they know. And we have to remember that that happens. And if you are dedicated to what's best for Ghana, then you want to keep that in your mind. If you deliver good customer service and you really take care of the guest, they're going to say good things and more people are going to come. And when people come, they contribute money. It's called the multiplier effect. They're putting money into the country. And that makes everything better for everyone. It really does. So on the bad end, if people have a bad experience, they go back and says, don't go to Ghana. It's trouble. And I had a terrible time. And they're just talking about the airport maybe. They could be talking about other things. But if they have a bad experience, these are these moments of truth, they're going to tell people. And then other people are going to go to some other country. And that's less money, less visitors for Ghana. So keep that in mind. And lastly, I just want to reinforce this idea that Ghana has so much to offer, but we have to deliver that top level customer service in order for things to work effectively. All of you have a part in that. Even if it's this small, you all have a part in that. Ghanaians, and you may have heard this before, I usually say this and I believe it, Ghanaians are the most beautiful people in the world. Very hospitable. But we have to translate that feeling of being hospitable into hospitality, which is a different thing. It's about anticipating the needs of guests, figuring out solutions to make things better. If a guest is having a problem, let's fix it. Let's just not send them to somebody else. It's very, the lights just went out. It's very disconcerting when I'm just passed off to somebody else. So anyway, I really wish I could be there with you. I hope you're having a great conference, and I wish you the very best. See you soon. Bye-bye. Thank you, Elizabeth. Take care. Bye.